Xbox's latest partnership with an AI company is drawing some criticism. The same company is also doing a partnership with the Game Awards, which also invited some criticism. There is a growing concern about what AI will do to games and game development. Consumers are worried it will lead to lower quality games, and writers, voice actors, and even developers are worried about being replaced by machines. It sort of feels like a tale as old as time. As automation and technology advances, certain jobs come under threat. But creative jobs like writers and voice actors are certainly different than production line work in a factory. The only problem is big corporations may not see it that way. Now, I put all of the good information right here at the beginning of the video. Who's this company? What's going on? If you're looking for all of that, it's right here at the beginning. It's a longer video because it is a live stream, and if you don't want to miss those shows, make sure you hit subscribe and the bell button so you're here for the live content. Xbox has announced a new partnership with an AI company, and some in the industry are not too keen on the idea. The same company will be a partner of the Game Awards, which is where I saw some of the first criticism voiced, and it sent me down the rabbit hole. I did an entire series on what I believed AI would potentially do to gaming. Those videos are available on my Reforge Gaming channel, and one subject that was concerning was writing and voice acting becoming unnecessary if machine learning and generative AI tech advances enough. So first, I want to look at the announcement from Xbox and what it entails. This is not a merger or an acquisition, but a partnership, and they are fairly specific in the tools that they aim to build with this partnership. Then I want to look at the concerns and the criticism. Alana Pierce voiced her criticism, but we are also seeing voice actors in the industry claiming that another strike is on the way. And obviously the dilemma would be, what will striking achieve if they're aiming to replace you anyway? Lastly, I want to give my own thoughts on this. Some of this is on par for basic business practice. Gaming is not immune to the decision makers at companies choosing to increase margins by using new automated technology. So first, let's just look at the announcement. It was posted on the Inworld website. Inworld AI specializes in AI NPCs, basically building characters for your games that would be automated. Now, the post is titled Xbox Partners with Inworld AI to Bring Generative AI Tools for Game Development. So, what exactly are they announcing? Here's what they have to say. Today, we are announcing that Xbox and Inworld will work together to build a powerful toolkit that harnesses artificial intelligence to enrich the narrative and character creation elements of game development. So you can see this is being positioned as a way to enrich this type of development, not necessarily replace, but everybody knows there is the real possibility of AI technology replacing this type of work. The recent beta of the Finals game showcased an entire voice-acted game by AI, and the developers had to defend that choice, claiming that they are not trying to replace humans. And I don't think that is the ultimate goal here. The goal is to save time and money, and depending on your studio size, it may be the best option going forward versus not just the cost associated with hiring voice actors, but the production time needed to record, edit, and process all the voice work. Keep in mind, I'm not defending the use of AI. I'm simply pointing out that the primary goal here is money-oriented. So what type of partnership are we looking at between Xbox and Inworld? From the blog, it says, the multi-year co-development partnership ensures that we can work closely with developers and studios to leverage cutting-edge innovations in generative AI to foster limitless creativity and unparalleled immersion. There's that wonderful word, unparalleled again. So, what are they aiming at making here? They say, together we aim to deliver an accessible, responsibly designed multi-platform AI toolset to assist and empower creators in dialogue, story, and quest design. As with all creator tools at Xbox, our goal is to deliver state-of-the-art AI for game developers of any size, anywhere in the world, and on every platform where players want to play. Again, this would be the pushback to those criticizing or expressing sort of a sky is falling concern about this. They're building tools to help creators of dialogue, story, and quest design. It's supposed to help. But a writer might feel like they aren't needed anymore if a developer can say, hey, I need dialogue for this part of the game, and this new tool can do it for me. A quest design team may feel redundant if elements of what they do can now be done by an AI tool set. The blog goes on to stress how this will make things easier. They say the following: we want to make it easier for developers to realize their visions, try new things, push the boundaries of gaming today, and experiment to improve gameplay, player connection, and more. Again, making things easier is great, but it could also mean removing steps or processes that are currently done by human beings. Then they outline the two tools that they are looking to build. The first is an AI design co-pilot, and this is how they describe it. An AI design co-pilot that assists and empowers game designers to explore more creative ideas, turning prompts into detailed scripts, dialogue trees, quests, and more. As you can see, the co-pilot will do quite a bit, and some of what it will do is what a person currently does at a lot of these game companies. The question is, will it help somebody who does dialogue trees and quests? Will it help them be more efficient, or will it replace them altogether? The second tool they outline is an AI character runtime engine, described in the way that they wrote here. An AI character runtime engine that can be integrated into the game client, enabling entirely new narratives with dynamically generated stories, quests, and dialogue for players to experience. Now, we're directly getting into predictions that I made in my AI gaming series. I theorized that machine learning and AI would lead to games that can generate their own stories, quest lines, even dialogue dynamically on the fly. I was told that was a pipe dream and that there's no way that that would ever happen. Well, it seems that was right on the money. That's their goal with this technology. So this obviously sounds exciting. You would go up to an NPC, you would choose from a database of prompts, and you would pick one. And then the game would create an entire dialogue tree and quest line after the fact. It would be truly a dynamic and emergent experience, but it won't be handcrafted. It won't be made by a person. So you can see the potential, but you can also see the problems, which is what I want to talk about next, the concerns and the criticism. The first thing I saw was a tweet from Alana Pierce, and I like Alana, so I wanted to include her commentary here, okay? This is what she said. She was retweeting the Game Awards, you can see here, quote tweeting it, about how they just announced this partnership with this same company, Inworld AI. And she says, imagine announcing this in a year where the games industry has laid off 6,000 plus people. I will never play any game that Inworld has any part in making. Well, the worry would be they're developing tools that will be harnessed by maybe all, if not most, of the studios under Xbox's umbrella, and that's a pretty big umbrella after the Activision deal. So I'm not sure if she's going to be able to stay to that. I appreciate her passion and conviction, but there's a lot of games that may be indirectly touched by Inworld in the future. So listen, I do want to say this though. I know she's not saying this, but I don't want anybody to logically connect these two things, okay? We have no indication that any of the layoffs this year were because of AI companies or AI tech or AI partnerships. Again, Alana's not trying to logically connect the two. I could just see somebody reading this and thinking that's what she's attempting to say. The layoffs, the scale of layoffs we have seen in 2023 is largely the result of the large-scale hiring that took place in the tech and gaming sector in 2020 and 2021. Now, knowing the cause of the layoffs doesn't really comfort those who have been laid off, right? But this isn't some corrupt scheme to hurt people or replace them with AI. Well, at least that's not happening yet, right? Her tweet is more about the optics. I think Alana is saying that the optics on this is just bad, man. A bunch of people just lost their jobs in gaming, and you're out here partnering with an AI company that's developing technology that seeks to potentially or willfully replace people in gaming jobs. Now, Alana's not the only person in the industry to take issue with this. She's a writer for Santa Monica. She worked on God of War Ragnarok, one of my favorite games from that year. It was my personal game of the year. But what about voice actors? Voice actors started weighing in as well. PC Gamer published an article entitled Xbox Sparks Dev Revolt with new AI writing partnership. Quote, lots of people are going to get fired, games will get worse, and C-suite will get millions. And a voice actor from Starfield, no less, spoke out about this Xbox partnership announcement from the article. Elias Tufexis, who is known as Deus Ex's Adam Jensen and Starfield's Sam Coe, decried the announcement on Twitter. If you want to start a voice acting career, don't bother. All those jobs of nameless background NPCs that gave us all our start in the industry, they're all going away. I'm already bitter. And the actor wasn't done there. He said, another effing strike is coming, concluded the actor in response to a tweet asking if the video game actors were unionized. Now, I would say the challenge with threatening a strike is that if they're looking to replace you, a strike's not going to achieve a whole lot. They're going to say, we weren't going to hire you anyway, right? I'm not being cold and crass. I'm saying the power of the strike's going to lose its potency if they do successfully create voice acting AI technology that is used in mass. If lots of companies start using it, voice actors striking isn't going to achieve much of anything. Now, Xander Mobus, who voices Joker in Persona 5, said the following: seems like a massive waste of money and resources that could otherwise go to humans who actually craft the games we play, noting that the quality of the content generated by AI writing bots in general, it's generally subpar compared to human authored work. And it wasn't just voice actors. It was not just voice actors. Developer Rami Ismail offered up a bleak summation of the direction of the games industry and AI with the words, lots of people are going to get fired, games will get worse, and C-suite will get millions. That was from the byline or the headline of the story. And then a lead designer made the connection to the recent strike in Hollywood. Jill Shar, lead narrative designer on the Lamplighters League, encouraged fellow devs to get caught up on the SAG-AFTRA strike and its relationship to AI, noting that, quote, actors are the front lines right now in the struggle against corporate greed and unethical uses of AI. Now, obviously, in the games industry, I don't think many people are saying that this is a benevolent move by Microsoft. Many are seeing this is not benevolent. This is not about making things better or improving things. This is purely about money. They see this as a direct threat to their livelihood. Now, I do think we want to make a little bit of a pushback here. The strike in Hollywood had to do with perpetual use of likeness. They were wanting to draw up contracts where you would basically do 1 day's worth of work, you'd be paid for 1 day's worth of work, and then they wouldn't need you anymore. They could use your voice and your likeness through AI and basically make an entire series or show or movie. And the actors were basically saying, this is completely unethical. I agree with them. You have a right to protect your likeness and the use of your voice. Deepfake technology is an egregious offense and should not be allowed. What people are having done to their faces in certain industries is just completely disgusting. But this is entirely different. These game companies would not have to use your likeness or their voice. They could just create a fictional one, if that makes sense. It's not quite the same as needing big-name actors for movies and TV shows. Lots of video games simply don't use recognized persons that we all know, right? The faces and the voices that we have come to know and love over the years, or even celebrities, as we've seen in the Star Citizen single-player game that will be coming out. There's tons of actors and actresses in that game. A lot of game companies aren't interested in doing that because it's very expensive. The challenge here will be anybody working with or under Xbox ownership may have to be very careful in how they talk about this. Brian Fargo from In Exile, the team behind Clockwork Revolution, spoke with Windows Central on the matter, and here's what the article said. Speaking on the topic of AI, Fargo is careful with his words, saying that being pro-AI means different things to different people. The studio head says that game developers can and should find ethical ways to use AI, such as eliminating busy work in looking through motion capture data. Fargo rejects the notion of just directly using something AI generated in a game, however, saying that the team is not going to use tools like Midjourney to generate something and just put it into the game. Now, you got to be careful when the boss just partnered with an AI company to develop tools that they might expect you to use. I've said for a while that there is an inherent danger in pushing cadence over quality, and AI could be a way to hit maybe better game launch rhythm. It'll be easier to get games to market if you're removing some of those tasks and some of those things that are tedious. Even quality assurance, QA, could start to leverage AI. You could test entire environments and run simulations overnight while you're sleeping and come back with plenty of great error reports as opposed to using a QA department. This is obviously then a threat to people who do that type of work in the video game industry. It may come at a cost for dev jobs, but it also may come at a cost of quality in the games themselves. So what do I think about this? What are my thoughts, okay? I don't want to sound crass, so I want to say this first and foremost. I need to say this, okay? If you get replaced by automation ever in an industry, it sucks, okay? I don't celebrate that. I don't push for that because what I'm going to say in this section could be taken that way. Automation and machines have been replacing real workers for a long time. It's becoming a growing concern as technology continues to advance. The concern that humans will be replaced by robots is like an actual measured and growing fear in the general public across the globe. Most notably, Americans are thinking this because factory work historically saw this happen pretty regularly. So yes, it sucks, but it is inevitable to a certain degree. Companies will always find ways to increase profits and efficiency. It is literally what they are supposed to do. If you owned a business and someone showed you a machine that could increase your production by 25% while also lowering your labor costs, what would you do? If you knew it would make you significantly more money, maybe even help you expand, I think that's the real challenge and dilemma here. Highlight this quote, I think, is very important to go back to. Lots of people will get fired, games will get worse, and the C-suite will get millions. Okay, I think that's zeroing in on the issue. This obviously has a bit of a sky is falling vibe to it, but I do think it highlights the problem. Those who make these types of decisions are the ones who directly benefit from profits going up and operating costs going down. They're so zoomed out on the company that employees are just a number. I'm not saying that is wrong. I'm not saying that is right. I'm simply saying that's the reality of the situation. So the ones making these high-level decisions are the ones most directly impacted by the profit impact. If you keep your job, but a bunch of people get laid off, and you're a mid-level employee, well, you don't see much benefit from that. You might actually see things going bad for you, right? Sure, profit went up, okay, so the company stays open, and you just get to keep on trucking, but maybe you have to do more work now. Maybe you miss your coworker. Maybe they help the day go by more efficiently because they were really good at their job. Maybe you're now anxious about losing your job, so you start overworking. You sacrifice your personal life, your mental health, right? Your work-life balance. So the ripple effect in a company when they make decisions like this, yes, it primarily benefits those at the top, and they sadly are the ones making the decision. It's not a democracy. It's not like they're going to have the company vote and say, do you think we should start leveraging AI tools? No. They're going to get pitched by a company like Inworld. Inworld's going to say, hey, look at the measure of efficiency, look at the labor cost reduction that you can get, look at the profit that you can earn, and they're going to say, sure, let's do that. That sounds like a great way to make more money. So AI coming to gaming and potentially replacing employees, they really aren't going to see this as a moral issue or an ethical issue. It's a business decision to them, especially if they answer to shareholders. And I think gamers are just being disillusioned in 2023 of this idea that gaming is somehow special or different, like it's a community or something. Yes, creative vision goes into the work, and video games are an art form. But that doesn't mean it's not a billion-dollar industry, potentially on a trajectory of becoming a trillion-dollar industry, according to some analysis that I've seen. When you have this much money being made, automation is inevitable. And the sad fact is we as gamers have been speaking about this a lot recently, indirectly. The price of games going up to $70, monetization practices in games, crunch culture forcing games out before they're ready and hurting your workforce by demanding insane work hours leading up to the launch of a game. All of these are symptoms of a problem that investors and publishers would like to solve. How do we get the cost of game development to go down? How do we get MVPs to market quicker and at better quality? Well, sometimes the quality is a bit negotiable, but what we really want to see, many of these people are saying, is we need a great way to save money. We got to trim down our labor force. That's a really great and efficient way to lower your operating costs. The layoffs of 2023 in the tech and gaming sector is not shocking to financial and business analysts. It was inevitable, but gamers act like it's the end of the world or a crime against humanity. And in a similar way, AI in gaming is being decried as a horrifying future for video games. All of this is simply the nature of business. It isn't nice, it certainly isn't pretty, but it's how industry growth works. So, let me just say that I do see good and bad coming from things like this. AI tools could improve over time and get better and help smaller or medium-sized studios crank out more work by minimizing menial tasks and lowering their operating costs. So medium to small developers could really benefit from AI tools as they develop. It could enable them to bring their game to market quicker, with less risk, with less cost. But obviously there could be bad results as well. Job loss, dilution of quality in writing, stories, voice acting, overall game quality could go down. A continued trend of larger publishers and developers treating games more like a product than a creative project. The hope would be that there's somehow a balancing out element of this, right? That some sort of equilibrium would happen. Talent might trickle down into smaller or mid-sized studios. Big budget productions would still need grade A talent for voice work and acting. But for now, a lot of this is just unknown. But one thing is certain. Gaming will continue to evolve and move forward. The question is, will it be a path of betterment or degradation? So let me give you my thoughts and my conclusions on this. I think many consumers are starting to see the real puppeteer behind the curtain, especially with the Xbox partnership. Microsoft is not the smiling, PR-friendly face that we see in Xbox. Phil Spencer and Sarah Bond make everybody feel good and excited about gaming. Microsoft is a Leviathan-sized corporation that will push gaming toward things like AI tools and automation. And I'm not saying that's wrong. It's simply the nature of the beast. This type of movement is almost a force of nature. Like a tidal wave headed for land, it's inevitable. And when it makes landfall, the outcome and the damage is unknown. The type of AI partnership that we just heard about could lead to amazing things, but it could also take us down an unknown path, which is the second thing I want to talk about. The singularity is a concept that feels important to mention at this point. According to Wikipedia, the technological singularity, or simply the singularity, is a hypothetical future point in time at which technological growth becomes uncontrollable and irreversible, resulting in unforeseeable consequences for human civilization. Well, I believe gaming is headed toward its own singularity, and AI is an accelerant to that trajectory. We have no idea what game creation and video games will look like in 10 to 15 years, and the AI tools being developed right now will play a large role in that future. My conclusion is this: whether you think this is the end of the world or just another step in the evolution of gaming depends on your perspective. Those who work in the industry are understandably concerned, and consumers are, in a similar way, worried as well. So I have to admit, I'm not surprised by any of this, but I also have to admit that I'm torn. I think tech advancement and AI are exciting, but they are also, on the surface, seemingly scary and dangerous. Because from where I sit, looking at all the various ways AI and machine learning is being used and experimented with outside of gaming, job loss in the gaming world might be the least of our worries. And that's the show open. Thank you guys so much for being here this morning. I appreciate the support so much. It is another day here at Reforge Gaming talking about this. I know some people just do not care about AI. We did a series on this, and it did terribly, which is weird because now everything we talked about in that AI series Everybody's talking about it now. Maybe we were just a little bit too early, but everything I predicted, I was like, man, I think AI is going to come for quest design, script writing, voice acting. You're going to have games that do their own questing, their own dynamic creation of a quest line, a skill tree. I saw this was coming, and people told me there's no way that's going to happen, bro. The machine learning and AI tech is not that sophisticated. Well, it's around the corner, because this company that Xbox partnered with, Inworld, it is absolutely designing the things that I predicted would be coming. NPCs that are completely made by basically a program, right? Fuzzy Muffin with the first gifted member of the day. Han shot first, and so did you. Thank you so much for doing that. Let's get the goal up there on the board. 1 out of 25 already. And Fuzzy says, birthday bros got to stick together. Thank you. Yes, it is my birthday. I appreciate all the birthday wishes in the Discord. You guys are the best. Thank you for all of you this morning. I woke up, I was like, why is everybody mentioning me in the Discord? I was like, what is going on? And that's what was going on. You guys were wishing me a happy birthday, so thank you so much. You can interact with NPCs like no other GTA game. Happy birthday. Thank you, Ward Huff. It's all we are talking about at work now. To AI tech, it could make varying situations in a game. It could be cool. Naberto with 30 months in a VIP. Happy birthday, homie. Happy to be able to celebrate another year with you and the community. Here's to another stellar year. Thank you so much, Naberto. Thank you, Hex. Thank you guys so much for the birthday wishes. I'm curious what you guys think about this subject, right? Like, where is this headed? Like, people are really upset. Like Alana Pierce, like, I really like her. I think she's really sweet, and I love like her when she's funny or tweets funny things, like her voice acting audition last night on Twitter. I think she's hilarious. But I thought to myself, I was like, how are you even going to hold to that standard? You're like, I'm not going to play any game that Inworld has anything to do with. It's like, okay, so Inworld is helping develop tools for Xbox. Xbox owns a massive portion of the industry. Are you not going to play any of those games then? You're not going to play any games from first-party Xbox if they use those tools? Like, where do we draw the line? You know, if you're going to take a stand as a consumer, how do you do that? How do you stay consistent? Derek says, my take is these announcements are full to the rafters with PR hype buzzwords. Half of social media is in love with garbage AI art, and Xbox is hoping to capitalize on that popularity. It doesn't even seem like they're trying to capitalize on the popularity of AI art, because they're talking about AI tools that will help write quests and dialogue, things like that. I want to push back on something, says Eugene. You mentioned just firing voice actors if they go on strike. It's not that simple. A strike would affect all actors and voice actors. No mocap, no high-profile actors. Right, but I think the dilemma is, Eugene, if they're basically saying, we don't want to work with live people anymore, then your strike is just going to motivate them to push even further towards AI. Behemoth with 32 months and a VIP gold. He says, hi, Lono. Hello, Behemoth. How are you? Do you see what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying that they would just fire you if you went on strike. I would say you're just going to motivate them to use more AI. Like, your strike's not going to do what you think it's going to do. You're just going to basically motivate the company to be like, all right, well, this is even more reason to not work with actors and to not work with people. We would just rather use AI. It's less complicated. Also, what are you going to do if this is not like a widespread problem with big companies? Like, let's say Santa Monica is still wanting to hire people, and Sucker Punch and, you know, maybe a handful of the Xbox studios are like, we're not going to be using those tools. We don't really feel that they would work with our project. What are you going to do? How are you going to strike if it's not a consistent decision across the board? Raptor with a gifted member. Thank you so much, Raptor. If you have not gotten the entire industry, as I said, let's say Santa Monica is trying to hire Christopher Judge for the next God of War, and he's like, I'm on strike because these other companies over here are using AI. And Santa Monica's like, we're not. We want to hire you. We're not trying to replace you. We're not trying to replace voice actors, actors, and writers. We're not using AI. Like, how efficient is your strike going to be if all you actually do is hurt yourself, hurt companies that are not doing anything with AI? Like, what's Santa Monica going to do? Be like, hey, you companies over there, stop using AI. We can't hire our employees anymore. Yo, Troll, thank you so much for the happy birthday wish. I appreciate that. It's all union-based. It doesn't matter. Some devs are okay and others aren't. A 5-bomb from Gabriel says, hi, Lono, my first ever super chat, and I'll use it to wish you a happy birthday. I love your show. Thank you so much. I appreciate that very, very much. All the people saying happy birthday, I appreciate that. Thank you. Just FYI, anybody who wanted to grab one of the headsets, thank you for that, Talica. If you guys are interested in that one PlayStation headset, it looks like the Pulse Explorer wireless earbuds and Pulse Elite wireless headsets are up for pre-order. Oh, I was actually interested in the earbuds. Not all movie studios were using AI poorly, and they were still affected. Patrick Q with a gifted member. Eugene, I don't think you're understanding what I am saying. If a company that's mid-sized or companies under Xbox are like, we have to do this now, we're using these tools, we've either been told to use these tools or whatever. Let's just say you have a bunch of mid-level developers that don't care. They don't care. They're like, we're using AI, and they're like, we're going on strike, and those mid-level studios are like, we don't care. And then you have big-level studios that are like, we do care. We're not doing AI. We can't hire anybody now. Do you understand what I'm saying? The people that are going to be willing to use AI aren't going to be compelled by your strike. The people that will be compelled by your strike are the ones that are going to be like, we want to keep hiring actors. What in the world? Yo, a gifted member from the Superfly, and he says, happy birthday. Thank you so much for that. All the single gifted members coming in and the birthday wishes. I appreciate it. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, the people that are causing the strike won't be compelled by the strike. They'll be fine. They'll be like, that's fine. Like, do you think the finals would be in trouble if all of a sudden voice actors went on strike? They'd be like, we don't care. Our game can still come to market. We don't need voice actors. We didn't hire any. We're not planning on hiring any. This doesn't affect us. That's the challenge. Like, how effective is your strike going to be if the very people that you're trying to impact are the exact ones that are like, yeah, we're not trying to hire actors. And then you're going to have Santa Monica and studios like that being like, we want to keep working with actors. What the heck? What are we supposed to do? They think they will be fine. I'm saying there's certain dev types and game types that won't be affected by a strike like that. The finals may be okay, but Nexon won't. Well, that's true. It would then impact the publisher, and then the publisher would step in and say, you guys need to not use that technology or whatever. Depends on where they pulled the voices from for their AI. I guess, like, what, if they mimic voices they don't have rights to? Parasito says, currently I would argue that AI and the wording I've seen does not seem like creators are being replaced and that AI is good in this application. Help is always great, but the skill requirement shifting towards AI know-how and away from painting, animating, drawing, writing could kill off actual creatives due to cost benefit of time and skill of the company. Keep in mind, AI can't yet truly create original work. It can only rehash existing work. Once the actual creatives are removed from the equation, everything will just be the same crap over and over again. Well, and that's what I said. In the show open, I said, look, they're couching this as this will help developers. A 5-bomb from Ron M, gifting 5 members to the community, and Rabbit re-ups the membership, and it's a VIP and says, happy level up day, Lono. Thank you so much, Rabbit, and thank you for the 5 gifted members, Ron M. If you guys get a gifted member, make sure and say thank you to the people who are being so kind and gifting those memberships to you. They're couching this as helping, and I said that in the show open. I said, listen, if this helps a quest designer or a writer do their job more quickly, well, that's great. But the worry would be you start replacing people because the quest designer's like, I need some dialogue written up, and I'm just going to use this AI tool to generate that dialogue, right? So you then make writers redundant. You could have a quest building team that suddenly looks redundant because you only need 2 people. They're like, yeah, I mean, we can leverage this AI tool. It helps us with quest building, and we don't need 6 people in the department now. We only need 3. Because the company's going to assess costs and say, well, you guys have 6 people. Do you need all 6 people? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the issue, is that it won't replace people like directly. Like, yep, we don't need you anymore. Robot Q901 over here is going to do everything for us. It's like, no. That's not necessarily how it's going to play out. It would turn certain departments into, they would hit redundancy thresholds. It's like, well, yeah, you don't need us because 1 or 2 people can leverage these tools and do what we're doing. All 4 tools, we use AI tools at work, but it doesn't replace anyone because there's an element of analysis that AI can't do. Right, and I think that would be the issue. The issue would be that this is just the beginning of, this is the concern, right? The concern would be, well, you're going to start using these tools to write dialogue and quest lines more efficiently. What happens in 5 years when the tool set's more sophisticated and you can basically feed it an encyclopedia of information and language, and it can create dialogue and quest tree lines more sophisticated than previously, once again then removing the need for having the number of people you currently have working on dialogue and quest lines. Technically speaking, using AI is just a buzzword. Functionally, there are tons of procedural tools that already exist in very similar capacity to these AI support tools. The only thing they are changing is the interface. Well, the way machine learning works is everything you feed it, it can use. And the worry would be, once you feed the tool enough, it becomes more efficient at something that a person is currently doing. You feed it enough information, and it can create generic voices for background characters. Well, guess what? You don't need to hire people to do that now. You can create all your dialogue lines, very basic lines in the background, like, oh, hi, Bill, things like that, just background noise. Yeah, I'm on my way home from the store. Things like that. You don't have to hire a person to say any of that anymore. And the more you feed, the more the machine learning, the more you feed it, the more it has to go on, the more it can do for you. So yes, as you're spinning it up, you're like, yeah, it needs a person. You need somebody to feed it information. Sure, in the initial stages, you're assuming it won't get more sophisticated and better with time. You think AI and machine learning technology for dialogue, NPC behavior, writing a script, and voice acting, you think it's just right now this is how it's going to be. It's static. It's going to be like this for the next 10 or 15 years. This is what we always ran into in my AI series that I did. I had so many people telling me, no, that this won't be possible. They won't be able to do this. And I was like, what are you talking about? Your presumption that technology will stay static is like weird in light of everything we've seen historically speaking. And here we are, 6 months after I did that series, the things I said were coming are already happening. You already have people that are like, yeah, we don't need voice actors, just use AI. Just have an AI do all the voice lines. That's already the case with several workflows, though. I do a lot of 3D modeling, and I have built up a library of assets over the years that I use, which speeds up my production times. Right, but the difference there is that's basically a library that makes you quicker. We're talking about tools that will literally do tasks, and those tasks are currently done by a person. Saying a voice line, writing a quest, establishing NPC behavior. This company, Inworld, that Xbox is partnering with, that's literally what they do. They make AI NPCs. That's like their primary tech. If you look them up, that's like the front banner thing they talk about that they have. It'll surely improve, but letting an AI write a dialogue tree and quests on the fly in the short term is going to mean side questing that is even sillier than Bethesda routinely gives us. I'm talking about 10 years from now, though. a true AI dungeon master like in D&D tabletop games. I hope AI could be as good as my mate Gary at making a semi-decent campaign. Think about most of the games that you played recently. Like, I just beat Spider-Man 2, okay? Most of the side quests and quests that I did, they were similar. Once I did one, I sort of knew what to expect in the next one. That's not a slam. Every game does this, right? So if you feed machine learning over the next 10 years, all the various different types of quests and dialogue lines and things that an NPC might say, things that an NPC might do, there's only so much that you can do in a game with respect to, like, here are the parameters of what you can do in this game. Oh, it's a racing game. Okay, well, I can't wait to make my car fly into outer space. Well, no, there's parameters within the game. And when you feed the AI, the machine learning tool, enough information, it can do so much within that game that would feel like, oh yeah, that was a pretty good little side quest that I did. All it has to do is replicate the last 10 that you've done. Yeah, we need this. Where is it? It's all throughout the city. Okay, cool. Once you get all those things, come back to us. All right, see you later. It just created a basic side quest that you wouldn't even blink at. You'd be like, okay, yeah, this person needs me to go to collect all the... There's 10 kitty cats stuck in trees across the city. I gotta go get them. A lot of those tasks are entry-level positions. Say bye-bye to higher skilled people as they're now unable to gain experience. It may actually drive costs up as you create a skill labor shortage. Right, that would be one of the unintended consequences, which is why I talked about the singularity. The technological singularity is the idea that tech will advance at such a speed that we won't even see, like, what the potential outcomes would be. We don't even know. We're like, yeah, we're doing all this stuff with AI, and we have no idea. Like, in 15 years, you have a labor skill shortage. Why? Well, you just spent the last decade removing menial level developers with AI tools, and now you don't have anybody who's going up the ranks and getting better, and all the developers are retiring. They're getting in their 50s and 60s, and they're saying, see you later. Now, it might take a little bit longer than that, maybe 20 years, but an unforeseen consequence of this is what Eugene is saying. You would basically remove all your low-level workforce. Like, yeah, we don't need you anymore. Well, why not? Oh, you guys down here that do low-level QA and debugging, yeah, we have a tool that does all that now. Your entire department's gone. Like that. Well, you wouldn't have any of those people then growing in their abilities and moving up into either a team lead or management or improving their skill set or whatever. They would leave the industry. They'd be like, well, we're not needed anymore. You don't need us to do this, so we're going to leave the industry. And then what you do is you're cutting off a funnel of a workforce that might be feeding another end of the workforce. If they're not entering on this side at an entrance level, they're not coming out on the other end as a high-level employee. They just no longer come into the workforce because you've basically replaced them. It's not dependency, it just prompts the need for a discussion on the nature of jobs and the centrality of life. Very Aristotelian. Government debates will be interesting. Yeah, I mean, the discussion about the jobs aspect of it is, to me, that's like a red herring. That's a red herring. There are probably plenty of jobs in the tech world that have been replaced over the last 20 years by some measure of automation. Even if you just go to places that, print magazines, like I guarantee you there are jobs that existed 20 years ago that don't exist now. Well, some of that probably has to do with the lower demand of print material, but there was probably even a time when, like, newspapers got better at printing in mass and there were jobs that got eliminated. You know, you got some low-level technician that makes sure your printing lines are good. You got X number of, you know, newspapers that need to be printed, and they have a new machine that's better, and you're no longer needed. Yeah, the automotive industry, there's plenty of machine work, production line work that has been eliminated by machines. There's robots, like arms that are like, meet, and they come out and they do like all the different things on the car. That guy used to do that. A man named Ted used to go out there and put all those bolts on and do all of the fabricating. Not anymore. You got a machine that does that now. The tech world, the gaming world, it's no different. You know, do we have less quality cars now? Are our cars in worse shape because so much of what goes into the creation of the cars are they breaking down? Are they poorer quality? Are they not as safe? I would say the answer to those questions are probably no. They're safer. You've even got cars now that are becoming more fuel efficient, or cars that can do both. You've got hybrids. You know, so I don't know. I don't know if it's as simple as, well, yeah, you know, happy birthday. Thank you so much, Kratopsy. This is a bigger problem than standard automation, because we are asking a machine to make a decision about and who do you hold responsible for an opaque algorithm's choice. Well, of course, like, you're not going to like have an employee review with an AI tool and be like, yeah, you had a lot of errors last month, you know, AI code 2214, we got to let you go, you know, we got to scrap you. I don't think this is going to turn into like a thing where like games aren't even made by people. I think the concern would be that there are elements of the, you know, elements of the workforce that will become redundant. Like, that's the issue. It's not the issue of, like, at least from where I sit, the issue is not, oh yeah, we're going to get crappy games now. I don't know about that. Happy birthday, dude. Thank you, P. Dudley. It'll make jobs easier. They'll be looked at as McDonald's workers, and the rich will get drones to agree that low-skilled workers deserve little, even though the company can pay much more. We currently have a pretty massive skilled labor shortage, and a lot of it is attributable to automating entry-level positions. Well, I don't know. You'd have to analyze. You'd have to analyze the gaming world, and you'd have to ask the question: how many of your skilled laborers, how many of your high-skilled engineers and developers started out in the more menial entrance levels? Like, and you'd have to crunch that number and say, okay, that would mean then that percentage of the workforce over the next 20 years you would potentially then lose because they're not entering the workforce because they're no longer needed. I'm not sure what people can do about this. There's not a whole lot you can do. Chase Irons renews his membership 7 months and says, happy birthday, bro. Thank you. There's not a lot we can do as consumers. The only thing we can do as consumers, which is, this isn't even really a, I mean, this gets into the whole, this could get pretty philosophical about like free will. It could get kind of philosophical. Lono's birthday today. That's right. Thank you very much. If you get into the discussion of what consumers do, generally speaking, consumers, similarly, that C-suite is like a force of nature, right? Because the C-suite answers to shareholders. Answering to shareholders means their decisions are dictated by profit, and their decisions are then, therefore, not dictated by your moral ideologies, right? The C-suite's not going to say, but this is going to cost people jobs. They're not going to say that. They're going to say reduction of labor force, increase efficiency, profit goes up. We have done our jobs. We make more money. Share value goes up. Our fiduciary duty to the shareholders has been satisfied. Okay? That's almost like a force of nature. On the same token, consumers are a force of nature. Consumers are driven by what they value. And what they value is often not, well, I just bought this car. Was the workforce treated well? Did they let anybody go over the like, is anybody not buying a car because the automotive industry automated people out of the workforce? Do you get what I'm saying? Does the consumer stand on that principle effectively historically? Do they? I don't think that they do. I think the consumer is another force of nature. They're going to go where they see the best value for the money that they spend. They're not going to say, well, I'm not going to buy this car because 10 years ago or 5 years ago, a bunch of people lost their jobs because of automation and robots. So in the gaming world, it's like, sure, stand on your principles. I applaud that. I applaud the conviction and the passion of people like Alana Pierce. She's like, I will never buy a game that this Inworld AI company has anything to do with. Oh, okay. Do you think everybody else is going to do that? Do you think the general public is ever going to know what you're talking about? Like the general gaming public, the consumers that are going to the store, buying a console, booting up their console and downloading games. Do you think they're going to make sure their consumption's ethical? They're going to be like, well, I don't want to support a company that uses AI and let people go, you know. So consumers can dictate what the market does, but you can't necessarily stop people from buying something purely because of your beliefs about how it was made. Like, quality control, the last line of quality control is the consumer. Because if something is bad, it isn't going to sell well for very long. If you're making cars that are blowing up on the road, the last line of quality control is the consumer, you know? You start painting the highway with people because your cars are blowing up, well, then your business isn't going to last for very long. If your vacuum cleaner is, lighting itself on fire, you're going to get some pretty bad Amazon reviews. The last line of quality control is the consumer. So unless AI generative technology results in games that are of such a low quality that the last line of quality control then dictates what these companies start to conclude, that this is hurting our bottom line, AI is not resulting in the quality that the consumer wants, that's where the consumer has control. Outside of that, like, I don't think you're going to mobilize the gaming community to be anti-technology advancement. What do you think the average consumer is going to say when you do that? You're like, hey, buddy, I know you don't really get involved in this kind of stuff, but I see you're playing video games. You really shouldn't support these publishers and these developers. He's going to be like, why is that? Well, they use AI technology. And he's going to say, why? Okay, why should I care about that? Well, a lot of people lost their jobs. And he's going to be like, all right, well, I think the game is fun. Expecting people to rise to that level of passion and care. I don't think consumers have a whole lot of power in this regard, with the exception of the quality control aspect, is that if the games start to diminish in quality enough, we would then respond by not buying, low review scores, public perception, critical reception would go down. And when that goes down, that has a direct result on profit, which then loops back into the decision makers saying, well, we can't do this. This is hurting our bottom line. We're not getting good results. If your AI generated quest lines and dialogue are of a low quality, that's the only really power we have in this equation, is the power of purchase or non-purchase. Now, you do have the power of your voice and speaking out and trying to inform people, but generally speaking, I'm not being like a fatalist here or a cynic. I don't think you're going to move the hive mind of the consumer on this very effectively. Rockin' Robin with a gifted member. Thank you so much. Taking us to 10 members on the day. Every 25, I give 5. Thank you so much, Rockin' Robin. It's good you're making these points, because if we did, we would get swarmed by the AI can only be bad and you are evil for recognizing the obvious benefits crowd. I'm torn. I said at the beginning, like, I'm torn about this, because there's a lot of smaller development companies that in the next 10 years could be able to do a ton of stuff that they've not been able to do historically because it's just too expensive. You know, hey, why didn't you guys have the any of the characters talk? And they're like, we didn't have a budget for voice acting. How many games have you played from low level or, you know, mid-size indie studios or smaller indie studios and there's no voice acting in the game? Right? So some guy's face pops up in the corner of the screen and his mouth goes like this and the lines come out on the screen, right? You just read. Well, you tell that small little indie studio, hey man, if you use this AI tool here, you can have all those lines voice acted. You can choose what the voice sounds like. You can give the voice an accent. You can choose if it's a male or a female voice. You can choose if it's a high-pitched voice or a baritone. Like, you can choose the octave of the... You can do all those things. Thanks for the content. Your videos have improved my vocabulary. I appreciate that, Ika Gang. A lot of this AI discussion is cart before the horse kind of stuff. AI needs to be used to make a good product before I'm willing to concede that AI can be used to the same or better effect than using human workers. Happy birthday, Grandpa. How old are you now? 58? I am 42 today. Thank you for asking, Raptor. Thank you for the super chat as well as the gifted member a little bit ago. Well, I don't think anybody is arguing that Xbox working with Inworld is going to replace workers. I think what people are saying is this is just the beginning. You're going to create these tools that can write a script, write a quest line, do whatever, and that eventually is going to creep out into somebody does that. That's somebody's job to write those lines. To create that database of potential dialogue responses. Like, that's somebody's job to do that. That's somebody's job to write the script. That's somebody's job to voice act, right? 42, you look 29. I appreciate that. I stay out of the sun. That's pretty much it. That's my secret cap, is that I'm always inside. Let's just say here, Let's Jen and AI Senna to sing happy birthday to Lono, Marilyn Monroe style. I would actually think that would be hilarious. $1.50 tip from Cristiano Souza and Bossman David with a $2 super chat tip. I'm afraid we'd lose the uniqueness of some games. I don't disagree with you. I can't heart the one from Cristiano Souza. It won't let me. That's weird. He was actually optimistic about it, very optimistic about it from a business perspective. We are already seeing that AI QA processes at the plant level detect defects and abnormalities in programs and services at a 99.7 level percent. Humans are hovering in the high 80s in our industry. Jiminy Christmas. A 10 bomb from Terminal Stupidity takes us to 20 members on the day. Thank you so much, Terminal Stupidity. I appreciate that very, very much. If you guys just got to get the member, make sure you say thank you to Terminal. My work laptop and our AI and our IT systems has eliminated a legal secretary's job and probably a paralegal's job. Is that bad? Right. That's the ultimate, rub is people are trying to inject morality and ethics into the discussion. All right. I appreciate their presumption that morality exists. I like that because it does. Okay. That's another subject. That's a metaphysical discussion. However, in the business world, it's an amoral decision. There's no morality about it. Parasito with a 10 bomb. We got a 10 bomb gifted train starting all of a sudden, and Paris pushes us past 25. I now owe you 5. If we hit 50, I'll owe you more. Thank you so much, Parasito. So generous. Guys, if you're getting a gifted membership today, be sure to say thank you to the people that are doing that. You get access to our members-only Discord. You get access to members-only content. You can upgrade to a Reforge writer for $1. We end the day now with a brand new segment called The Writer's Room, and you can help shape the show that we do or the video that we do. This discussion about AI was happening yesterday with members, and it turned into a Writer's Room discussion that fundamentally led to us covering this. Super Googly with a 20 spot. I enjoy Game Pass a lot on my 4090 PC. My Series X is useful whenever I go to a friend's place. I'll just throw it into my back seat of my car and have fun playing Party Animals with my friends. I have no idea why you said that. That's great that you do that. That's not what we're talking about today. So have fun, I guess. So a company deciding, let's just imagine that in 10 years, there is sophisticated enough AI to remove a certain amount of the workforce. Let's just say that they don't get rid of their writers and their quest designers. They don't get rid of them, but they shrink the amount needed. On average, every developer sees a 50% reduction. They're like, we need about half of you. This is so redundant now. The AI tools that have assisted us in efficiency, we don't need you, right? Lone Wolf says, good morning and happy birthday, Lono. Thank you, Lone Wolf, for a $2 tip. And a 5-bomb from Rob V, taking us to 35 members on the day. Thank you so much, Rob. I appreciate you very, very much, man. That's so kind. So to me, it's not about like directly saying, yeah, you can't work here anymore. It's, well, the AI tools are creating redundancies in the company. We don't need 10 writers. We need 5. We don't need a quest design team that has 25 people on it. We need 13 of you. Do you get what I'm saying? I don't know how quickly this results in one-to-one. Hey, Dave. Yo, what's up? We don't need you anymore. Why? And like a robot rolls in the room. Yeah. Q901's going to take your place. Hello. I'm Q901. Yeah, sorry, Dave. Can you get out of his seat? He doesn't know what patience is. I'm Q901. Ow! Stop! Like Dave's like getting shoved by the robot. I don't know if that's going to happen. Right? I don't know if you're going to have this literal direct replacement of a person by AI. It's more about it's going to have reverberations in the industry. You're going to see labor force reduction in relationship to AI technology. I believe that. I don't think that that's that outlandish to predict. You're already going to see smaller companies decide that it's better to use AI for voice acting than to hire people. Why? Because they have a smaller budget. You want to hire voice actors and put in the time and the hours when you can have an AI just do it, and depending on the game, maybe the voice acting is very minimal. So even if you can tell it's AI, you're not going to care that much because maybe the voice acting is very minimal. Talents with the $5 super chat tip says, after 10 years, the marketing will be this game was created without AI, all human creativity. The nature of AI processes using trial and error methods does the opposite of that by weeding out the sources of problems instead of letting them sit and fester in further trials. Right, like AI coming to QA. Think about quality assurance. Birthday gift incoming. Thank you, the Anime Zoe. Think about quality assurance. You build an open world environment. You know, you build it and you've got some trees and some log cabins and a river. And a real person goes through and is trying to find bugs, glitches, and problems. A 20 bomb comes in from the Anime Zoe. Said a birthday gift was incoming and this guy wasn't kidding. That's a big one. And he puts us 20 away from the next goal of 75. If it's a 20 bomb train, now's the time to do it. That was a big, big gifted member. Thank you so much to the Anime Zoe. If you guys just got a gifted membership, be sure to say thank you to the Anime Zoe. But imagine you've got an AI that can simulate human behavior in the environment while logging errors. You just run that overnight. You come back the next day, you're like, sweet, that made that a lot easier for me. And a 20 bomb from Lone Wolf, the tag team 20 bomb from the Anime Zoe and Lone Wolf, and takes us all the way to 75 just like that. The man himself, Lone Wolf, said, happy mother blanking birthday. I appreciate that, Lone Wolf. You are the best. You're the best, dude. And another gifted membership from Boss Man Davey. The singles add up. Don't let these people scare you off. But that's not just a single. That's the Agent of Chaos. That pushes us toward the next goal. We always sit on the goal, and if we sit there, somebody bumps us past it. 76 out of 100. Thank you guys so much, making the birthday nice. They might break the record today. The record of gifted memberships is 673. So don't get ahead of yourself there, Capono. Don't get ahead of yourself. Gifting's about to get wild. We'll see. I'm not setting that as a goal. That's asking quite a bit. You'd be surprised how many automated test suites are already being used to the capacity that you just described. It's just not very dynamic. Well, here's what I would say that it does. And this is my layman's understanding, Paris. A 20 bomb from Online MVP takes us to 106 members just like that. We are well on our way. You guys are crushing it today. What a birthday you're making it. Thank you so much. Some of the big boys are in chat today. Thank you. That is very kind. If you guys are getting a gifted membership, make sure you plug into our Discord. Make sure you have notifications turned on this channel so you don't miss the members' content. A lot of you guys, I don't think you see the members' videos. Make sure noties are turned on because it's not a normal video. It might not hit your homepage or your subscription feed. You might be like, this guy's talking about members-only content and I never see it. YouTube will sometimes shove it right in front of you and sometimes they won't. So make sure you have notifications turned on, or at the very least, get into the Discord. Okay, so the way I understand it, Paris, and this is where it could benefit, is instead of your QA department finding all those menial, basic, small bugs, they've been eliminated and discovered by the AI. Maybe not eliminated. They've been discovered by the AI, so the dev team can smooth all those rough edges. And another 20 bomb from Online MVP. He's also an Agent of Chaos as he takes us to 126. This man is insane. He just tag teamed his own 20 bomb. Insane. His name's Online MVP, and he is true to the name because he is an MVP. So as I was saying, the idea being that AI can remove a lot of the menial tasks, menial work. So when the QA department gets their hands on the game, it's even more smoothed over, right? That to me is a good thing. That's a good thing. You get a more polished game. You make your QA team more efficient. Yo, what's good, Donnie? How are you? You make your QA team more efficient, right? What's wrong with that? Nothing's wrong with that. Here's the dilemma, and here's the concern. Those menial tasks that the AI is removing, I would imagine AI, machine learning, gets more sophisticated over time. Why? Because it learns. You're feeding it more information. You're feeding it more experiences. And as that circle of impact grows with what it does, it's shoving human work to the edge. It's inevitable. Hear that, Mr. Anderson? That's the sound of inevitability. That's the sound of your death. Like, that's it. That's... You know what I mean? Allow me to share with you a revelation from my time here. The idea being that that's it. The Matrix is it, right? It's just going to take over. We're in a simulation already, aren't we? I'm just kidding. I don't believe that. But the point being, it's inevitable. It's coming. Like, the tech will advance. It won't just stay where it is. Nah, dude, AI is always going to be limited. You're always going to need a human person. Yeah, you might need a less. Kronks with a membership. Welcome back. Thank you so much. Kronks gifts 5 members and shoves the line up to 131. Thank you so much, sir. It's the smell. If AI tools can help increase productivity, then we should get more games created, which will require more people, but it's hard to know. Right, Eugene? Thank you so much again, Kronks, for the 5 gifted. Listen to me. I think what Eugene touched on earlier is exactly what I just touched on. As those menial tasks get gobbled up, you indirectly gobble up entrance-level positions, and if you gobble up entrance-level positions, you run the risk of setting a trajectory of skill loss, like high-skill labor loss. Like, all of a sudden in 20 years, you're like, we don't have any high-level engineers and developers at our studios anymore. Why? Well, because we eliminated and shrunk the funnel of people. Yo, good morning, Javier Cotto. How are you? Derek says, what we're going to get in a couple of years is Radiant Quest that makes the one in Fallout 4 seem well written. After that, maybe it gets better. Abe says, 130 already? I guess I'm not needed today. My birthday, Abe. Thank you so much, Bossman David, for 4 months. Wally predicted this. Dubert says, I hate that speech from Smith. It's 100% wrong. If he was right, there wouldn't be invasive rabbits destroying the ecosystem in Australia. Everything pushes the limit. Sure. I think maybe the speech would be better if he said human beings are the most ferocious disease. A gifted member from Abe. Thank you so much, Abe, for taking us to 132. This man's been gifting a lot lately, and I appreciate it very, very much. Parasito says there's already test suites to find bugs and then log them for review and fixes. If someone really wanted to spend the time with a state machine, they can already fix them automatically. Trusting AI with unfettered code-based access is very dangerous right now. Sure. I'm just speaking more generically, Paris, that their aim, this Xbox AI partnership, its aim is to create tools to make creators more efficient. So very generically, that's what their aim is. Yeah, I did. I blocked. I took care of that, Eugene. Thank you. And the point I'm making is, the more efficient you make creators, the less you might need them. Imagine that you have a manufacturing plant and you have 100 employees and they're all running and working on various machines and part of a production line, okay? 100 people. And someone comes in and says, hey, we have this gizmo. If you buy it and you put it on all these machines, it cuts down the amount of time needed for all of your employees to work. And you think, that sounds great. But then you look out on your labor force and you notice something. People are standing around. Hey, what are you doing? He's like, I'm waiting. What are you waiting for? I'm waiting for the next batch. Why? Well, I'm faster now. Oh. What's the guy before you doing? Why is it taking him so long? Oh, well, his machine's faster too, but then he has to reset it more often. Oh, okay. So you're creating all this, like, reverberations within the process that creates these, like, well, I don't need you then. You basically just made 100 people so efficient that you only need 75 of them. You're like, yeah, a lot of you are standing around. One person can now operate 2 machine elements because this thing's so fast. You go over, you push a button, and then you come over here now. And now you're doing the job of 2 people, and you're still putting in an 8-hour day. All you got to do is take 4 steps over here and then 4 steps back. And you just eliminated, 25% of that workforce. By doing what? You bought a gizmo that made things more efficient. Now, the hope would be that you reduce the labor force, you make more profit, and then maybe you expand. Maybe you open up a new plant. Maybe you open up a new area. Maybe you expand so that you can make more because the gizmos are so good. So you let 25 people go, but in 5 years you expand and you hire 100. Obviously, that's a very simplistic view of it, but the point being, you don't necessarily know if the reduction of labor force, which then increases profit, will that result then in more jobs, more investment, more growth in the future, or will it just result in, job loss and then that's it? Okay, Hilly is strutting right now. You guys did 502 gifted members on his birthday, and my birthday currently at 131. That is so cold, Hilly. He just put a picture in the Discord. That is so rude. $1.50 from John's Underworld Playground. Thank you so much for the birthday super chat tip. I appreciate that. Hey, Geritol, how are you, my friend? Hey, I don't get to be on much anymore, but I want you to know that I appreciate what you do. You're dope and deserve dope stuff. I appreciate that, Geritol. Extremely rude but hilarious. This is Hilly's stream now. Yeah, apparently. I think people are just afraid of how all-encompassing it could become. Previous changes were generally for mechanical things like robotic arms. This is broaching into the calculative territory, which is an area generally reserved for white-collar jobs. This is an Econ 101 channel now. That's right, you're learning about the basic economics of why reducing a labor force is not always a bad thing. Like, the layoffs that have happened this year, right? Everybody speaks on Twitter as if it's this horrible thing. And it's like, so they shouldn't have laid people off, just stayed bloated, hurt margins, and then what? Go bankrupt in 10 years? A 20 bomb from Dodevas. Thank you so much. He pushes us to the next line. He says, tell Hilly to shut his mouth. We're going to go for the gusto here today. 152 members. Parasita says, check my last in the Discord. Says, my concern with that is that the definition of creators more often than not. Management does not view QA or code writers as creators, but engineers, who you can make all the art and assets you want, but they're useless without the code base to integrate them. And AI currently sucks at code bases, especially in-house engines and workflows. Thank you again, Dodevas. Guys, so generous. So many gifted members. If you have been gifted a membership, make sure you have notifications turned on the channel so you don't miss out on the members-only content that we do every day for you. And also consider getting into the members-only Discord. We love growing this community and spending time with you in extra streams and in the Discord. So don't miss out on those perks. I think the primary concern, Paris, is the writers and the voice actors. This feels extremely analogous to what happened in Hollywood. It's similar. It's not the same. Hollywood was trying to say, hey there, Matthew McConaughey. All right. Like, sit down, buddy. I think time is a flat circle. Okay, buddy, stop. Listen, Matthew, love you. We think you're great. We want you to sign this contract. We're going to do a day's worth of work with you. We're going to record your voice, your face, your mannerisms, your movements, and then we're going to be able to use your likeness and voice in perpetuity and not pay you. And it's like, yo, what? That's extremely unethical. He has a right to his likeness, and he has a right to be paid for use of his likeness. Okay? So, this is similar. Now we're seeing gaming companies are saying, hey, we can use AI to help do some of the writing, do some of the voices. This company, Inworld, they literally create AI NPCs for you. It's expensive to hire all those voice actors for all that background chatter, isn't it? Could you really tell if when you're swinging through New York in Spider-Man, when someone goes, hey, it's Spider-Man, do you really think you're going to be able to tell whether that's AI generated or not? You think so? So game companies are doing the same thing. They're like, well, we could use AI and it could save us millions of dollars over the next 5 years. 15 months from Brian says, happy birthday. Great to see you growing and thriving. Followed you since Purple, and through all the hardships, your comeback has been an inspiration. I appreciate that, Brian, very, very much. Thank you. Yeah, I left my keys in a Lincoln. Imagine Hollywood trying to revive River Phoenix. How sick would that be? Yeah, it could get really unethical, right? Like, Bruce Willis can't talk anymore. You know, imagine using his likeness and his voice and putting him in movies still. That would be absolutely just reprehensible, right? Unless, of course, you could get some sort of cognitive agreement from him if he has the ability to do that. He can't communicate anymore. He can't read, he can't write, he can't talk. So, I think this is similar. It's not the same, but it's very, very similar to what just happened in Hollywood. And you're seeing, you know, Alana Pierce is a writer for Santa Monica. The voice actor from Starfield, the guy who voice acts Sam Coe, he spoke out. They wanted to use dead actors without paying their estates. Yeah, that's just despicable. That you cannot, that cannot be allowed, right? That cannot be allowed. Because unless the estate were to agree to it and then be perpetually paid for the use of the likeness and the voice, then that's completely unethical to do that. So, guys, let me just do a brief little mention of the coffee. You might see it spinning here. There's a light roast and there's a dark roast. This is not a sponsor. This is ours. My wife and kiddos ship it to you from the house with like little thank you notes. You're supporting a small business. If you're a coffee drinker and you've never tried coffee with balanced acidity, try Reforge Roast. You can go to reforgeroast.com and you can get 2 bags, very reasonably priced. And a bunch of the people in chat that have tried my coffee now drink it full time. So I know a lot of y'all listen to this show like a podcast. You might be a coffee drinker. Be sure to check it out. Did they use AI for Val Kilmer in the new Maverick? Obviously, it was with his permission. For his voice, anyway. No one is guaranteed. Yeah, I don't know, actually. I would imagine that they got his permission for sure. Parasito says, counterpoint, if someone is unable to perform anymore and they are willing to sign off their likeness for royalties, I'd say that's great. The difference would be there, Parasito, is they're agreeing to it and their likeness is then compensated. Hollywood was trying to basically say, well, we're only going to pay you for that one day of work where we do mocap and record your voice. You thought Bruce Willis was dead? He is not dead. No. He has a mental degeneration. I forget what it's called. He's lost the ability to speak. And because he can no longer speak, he actually can't read books. He cannot write. He's basically lost the function of language entirely. Reading, writing, speaking. He can't do any of it. It's actually very sad. They've been tweeting about him every once in a while, or Instagram posting, and basically saying, like, he's still Bruce. He's still great. It's called aphasia. Is that? Yeah, I think that's right. That sounds right. Aphasia. I think it's a form of dementia, is it not? That's very sad. But that obviously touches on the subject, right? Like, you know, he wouldn't have the ability to communicate. He's basically dead at this point. No, he is not basically dead. My goodness. His brain is working. He's eating and living and can express emotion. What on earth? Good night. He is obviously living in a different way, but he's, golly goodness. Lono is auto-tuned. His real voice sounds like a cross between Kermit the Frog and Link. That's ridiculous. James Earl Jones signed away his voice rights for Vader, and that is gone with me. I do have a problem with them keeping one person's identity because they don't have the power to resist. This is his dementia. Frontotemporal dementia. Oh, it's frontotemporal dementia. Is it also called aphasia? Capcom used AI in Street Fighter 2 for their models with 3D scans. Capcom used a base mesh scary because it's Capcom. Yes, it has replaced jobs. Yeah, I mean, that right there, I think, is what people are concerned about, is I don't think you would find anybody, like, obviously I would love to interview Alana Pierce about this because she's a writer, and I would be extremely interested in her her outlook on this, you know, because she was pretty harsh in what she said on Twitter. She's very opinionated, and I think that's great. I like when people speak in just plain language about what they think. Reaper with 17 months. Thank you so much. And thanks for being a Reforge writer, Reaper. I appreciate that. Everybody that's been gifted a member today, everybody that has a standard membership, you can upgrade to a Reforge writer. We've added a brand new segment at the end of the day. And if you're a Reforge writer, you get to come to the writer's room and be a part of the shows that we do and the uploads that we do. And it's been really, really awesome. I appreciate everybody that's been taking part in that. So I would love to ask her, like, would you say that AI that is additive and helping people, would you say that that is wrong? Like, if you've got, again, I'm thinking small dev team, I'm thinking smaller studio, and they're like, hey, man, these AI tools, they're really helping us. We're able to work so much more efficiently. You know, we were able to have a script and quest design much faster than we originally anticipated because we're a small operation. Like, I don't think she would say that that's bad. I think even the most harshest critics of AI in gaming would say, well, no, that's not bad. It's not bad to be helping developers work more efficiently. I think she would say, and many others would say, the problem is when you cross the threshold of now you're replacing what somebody else used to do. And my pushback would be, I respect your position. I empathize with your position. But that's business. Business is always going to seek ways to be more efficient. And if there is a tool, robot, program, or piece of software that can reduce operating costs while creating more efficient workflows, you cannot stop this. It is like water. It will find the path of least resistance. Like, business is going to do that. It's instinctive. This operates at an instinctive level, like all the way down to the psychology of why people play video games in the way that they do, why you take a certain route to work, and why companies say we choose the path that leads to least amount of cost, greatest amount of profit, and at an instinctive level, you're seeking the path of least resistance when you're doing that. All the way down to the marrow, this is what we do. AI as an assistant or an intern without the obligation of overhead of an actual person is great. AI as a replacement is bad. Why is it bad? Argue the badness of it. I'm not arguing the goodness of it. I don't think the business choice sees in those colors. There is no good or bad. There is either success or non-success. There is either efficiency or inefficiency. There is either profit or loss. It's pretty binary. Sadly, it is. I don't like things that are that black and white, but Joker Quinn gifts a member. Skatinator gifts a member. Good to see both Joker Quinn and Skatinator here. Super positive guys. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I've yet to hear one benefit of AI in gaming other than saving the owner of the company money. How is that not a benefit in gaming? Why is that not a huge benefit? Imagine that you're a 25-person outfit. You got 25 people working for your developer, and the guy in charge figures out a way to save money, and it's through some AI technology or tool. Don't you think that's a good day at the company? Hey guys, you know the budget's tight. We know, and we've made some choices here. We've invested in some things, and this is going to save us a lot of money. We're going to be able to shave a lot of cost off, and this is going to help us hit margins. You know, that's a really good thing for anybody that's trying to bring something to the market. only a benefit if they use the saved money for the good of the consumers. How could you argue if they use the money for the good of the consumers? What would that look like? If the game comes to market in better shape because they were able to properly QA and bug test because the budget wasn't strained, and the game launches ready to go because they were able to save an awful lot of money, doesn't that benefit the consumer? You're getting a better product, are you not? Let's say 500 million equates to 3 games now. What if an AI can make it 4 games? Bingo. Scale this up. I'm talking about an outfit of 25 people. Scale this up to operations where there's thousands of people working, and every department, every step in the chain can get more efficient if they use AI, and in the process they can reduce labor costs and make 4 games instead of 3. They bring their game to market faster and in better shape. It's in better quality. I'm not saying that that's an automatic outcome here. I'm saying if you look at this from a pure business perspective, there is no good and bad. There's no ethics. Is this going to make us more money? Yo, Skatinator with the 5 bomb takes us to 159. Thank you so much, Skatinator, for gifting more members to the community. I appreciate it very, very much. Scale it to the level of the Diablo team. That's right. If a game takes 6 years, it could be cut to 5 years if AI was used. Yeah, I mean, that's a very simple view of it, Jake, but exactly. Sony said they've downgraded their games of service, only 6 now? Huh. Who said that most of those games weren't going to come out on time? I swear I heard somebody say that was going to happen. Max Bandwidth becomes a member and doesn't wait for the gifted anymore. You guys don't have to sit around and wait for somebody to gift you a member. You can become a member on your own, and he chooses Reforge Writer. Thank you so much for deciding to jump in at that $6 commitment, man. That's so kind. Thank you. From what Lono has said today, this could only be good for the gamer. Well, not necessarily. No. God forbid we have ethics and economics. Apply ethics to it then. What would be unethical about maximizing profit and lowering your labor force? What is unethical about doing that? Trot it out for me. Do it. I think it's going to be really difficult. A 10 bomb from P-Dub H-Town. Thank you very much. I'm not defending this, by the way. I'm not. I firmly believe. A 5 bomb taking us right to 175. What a perfect landing. So beautiful. Thank you so much. Listen to me. I'm a firm believer in the existence of morality and metaphysics. I believe that these things exist, okay? And I believe that they press in on us instinctively because I believe that they exist. I believe there is right and wrong. I do. In this scenario, I try to think, what would be unethical about a company saying, if we utilize these automated tools, efficiency goes up, profit goes up, we can reduce the labor force. That makes us more solvent, more strong and stable as a company. That gives us a better trajectory for growth in the future. What's unethical about that? I try to come through the mind of somebody who would argue that that's unethical, and I can't come up with a very good argument. I can't. I can come up with a sentimental argument. I can come up with an emotional argument. I cannot come up with an ethical argument. I cannot. People didn't have the right to do that works or that type of job to begin with. Same thing happened to factory workers, and we are better and more advanced from it. It phased people's jobs out. Is not a good point. Right, it's not very compelling. Our cars are safer. Our cars are more fuel efficient. Our cars are of a better quality. And that industry has just completely done away with jobs through automation. Parasito with a lengthy response here. This is an advantage of being in our members-only Discord. No character limit. He says, from a business perspective, replacing any person with either a more efficient person or a machine is the logical choice. Using AI to grow the workforce and productivity exponentially related to each other, example, more games coming out from a studio with the same employee count, is across the board better. Replacing people with automation while still economically preferential is something that can ultimately be detrimental to the company and the industry at large. Economically, reducing workforce does increase profit. Once it hits the tipping point and enough people do it, then you've got a skill and labor vacuum that leads to a larger skill gap and ultimately unemployment, inflation, etc. And you hit the ethical wall, not only for the employees you got rid of, but for the greater population. Well, that wouldn't be an ethical wall. That would be a financial wall. They didn't do anything unethical. They did something that had either unforeseen circumstances or unintended circumstances. I don't think a company's going to make a decision and be like, well, this is going to hurt us in 10 years. Let's do it anyway. That wouldn't be unethical. That would be, what's the word? It's not reckless. It is, it would be a form of endangerment. What's that called legally? Oh, stupid. I can't think of the legal term. Eventually, the gap becomes filled with new workers with the correct skill set, but until then, companies require more high-skill, high-demand, high-cost workers to operate and manage the new tools. Abe says, it's not as high of a saving as we might think. Average salary for writers in a game dev, $70K. AI prompt engineering, average salary is $150K. Less start, but the salary eats into the savings. Don't let people tell you that AI art requires no skill and you just press a button to make AI-assisted art. My skills are increasing. This guy says, my AI-assisted art skill 6 months ago, my AI-assisted art skill now. He says, my skills are increasing, making a video as we speak, showing my process and how I get these results. The level of artistry needed, the technical knowledge required, and the amount of work involved, I think is going to shock people. Yeah, I think being dismissive of AI art is also. Let me show you this picture. It's a little, it's a little voluptuous, Supergirl or Superwoman, whatever they call her. I don't know what they call her. Supergirl. That seems kind of passively whatever. Anyway, this is what he did 6 months ago, and this is what he did now, right? So he's obviously saying that the amount of work involved to go from something that is obviously just this is pretty clear. You could probably nail this in a lineup and be like, well, that one's AI. I think this one here, you'd have a really, really hard time claiming that that's AI, right? I would have a really hard time picking this out in a lineup over here. If somebody put a bunch of pictures up and said, which one's AI, I would have a hard time picking this one because that looks like something that somebody actually made. I think the dead giveaway might be this building maybe, but the skybox behind her, the depth of color and shading in her hair, the texture of the cape, even her face. I'm telling you, it would be really, really hard to pick that one out. And AI artwork just sort of exploded on the scene this year. Skills at typing a text prompt. So? I mean, skills in architecture have changed largely over the years, haven't they? Why? Because of the tool sets people can use? You think the architects of old would think less of a modern-day architect for the tools, the automation, and the programs that they can use? That can perfectly measure angles and shape and structural integrity? You know, an architect in 2023 would talk to an architect from the 1600s and blow their frickin' mind. Be like, oh, I don't have to do any of that. No, I push a button. Yeah. I just push a button. Yeah, it just does all that for me now. I just drag a little line and it connects everything for me. They don't type cool building in the style of Howard Rourke and say they designed a building. You have to build in 3D, not the same. There are elements of architecture that are very much automated through the programs that they use, though. Certain elements are probably just completely generated from a database. Whether it's the archways, windows, walls, a lot of those things, they're not building from scratch. They're drawing from a database. They're drawing from a program that does it for them. I'm not saying it's exact. What I'm saying is don't be so dismissive of somebody who has honed craft and skills with tools that spits out something that 100 years ago you had to do it all by hand. Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're being dismissive of AI artists as if they're not just leveraging new tools to create something. Is it the same? No. No, but what I'm saying is that they're doing something very similar. They're saying, well, these tools can do things for me. As someone who works in architecture, yes, modern architects are far worse off. Architects of old are far superior to today's. Back then, they had to truly understand everything. Now, the only thing we have to do is know how to push a button and use the software. We don't have to know how to design. If you can make AI learning in a robot, for lack of a better word, you can make those and cut costs entirely. Any kid entering college would be wise, at least, to look into programming, robotics, repair fields. It's coming faster than many believe. Yeah, like if you're wanting to get into development and game design, I think right now you need a very, very functional, working, adept knowledge of AI and how it works, machine learning. AI art is stealing from art that already exists. All good artists steal. You think somebody drawing a sunset or painting a sunset? Who made that sunset, brother? There's nothing new under the sun, right? I mean, you could develop a philosophy of art. You know, I've been studying that recently, and how many artists were seeking a universal through art. They were trying to use art as a way to see reality. It was philosophical. It wasn't just like, I want to paint a sunset. But to a certain degree, what they were doing is they were trying to emulate and replicate reality. So, does the statue David not take from something that he didn't create? Did he create the human body in the human form? No. He copied it and made a statue brilliantly. Probably would be considered some level of savant or genius today. That level of skill is almost otherworldly. But at the same time, you are copying something else. You go to a landscape and you paint it. You didn't create that landscape. You are copying the landscape onto a canvas. Rather skillfully, but you're still copying. That argument doesn't hold water. I'm saying I would just be really careful establishing a philosophy of art that says that's not art if you're just stealing from another person. You got to be really careful with that, because if you actually look at the history of art and the philosophy behind art, it was quite literally about copying and replicating reality as a means to either a universal or finding truth or meaning. Art was not just as simple as, well, I just want to make something. Like, it might be that for some people today. But it's not as simple as, no, that's not original. That's not art. You're just stealing from others. Software artists are unskilled. They would never understand the beauty of an easel, the sweat on the brow of as one gets swept up in his own art. They are mere fabrications of artists. I hate artists, says Miyako after quoting that. The skill is that in the use of their hands. Okay, but if you're using a program that you have acquired a massive amount of skill in to create a piece of art, let me ask you something. Somebody goes into an engine for creation right now in a video game and creates a landscape, or a person? Did they create every tree, every bush, every blade of grass from scratch? No, they didn't. Did they create the eyeballs, the teeth, the hair from scratch? Or is the engine doing it for them? So at what level do you say they're not an artist, they're not doing anything, the program's doing it all for them? Interpretation of reality is not copying. You are copying what you perceive and interpret, not copying actual land and sun. But at a base level, you're copying something else that you did not create. You are using the hillside, the sunset, the body of another person to create something. So when someone uses AI art programs and says, I want you to create a landscape with a bunch of donkey assassins on it, okay, they didn't come up with the idea of an assassin. They didn't come up with the idea of a donkey. They're merely telling the program to make that from pre-existing things. No different than the guy that sits down to paint the landscape. Now, you're getting into fan art. That's a different discussion. Like, oh, well, that guy that made the Supergirl thing, that's not his original idea. Supergirl was created by DC Comics in whatever year, by whatever artist, by whatever author, and that IP, that version, that vision, that whatever is now being copied by an AI artist. Well, what about a fan artist that just draws it themselves? That artist is still drawing within the engine? Yes, but they're leveraging tools to create something. They're leveraging tools to create something. So if someone gets really, really good at using these programs that do AI art, don't you think there's a world of difference between a guy that's been doing what we just looked at? That guy's been getting good with that program for 6 months. There's a world of difference between him and me. He's using tools to create something that I'm not very skilled in. I could go into Unreal Engine and try and create a person and a landscape, and I would be, a tenth of the ability and skill and know-how of somebody who has been doing it for a year. Happy birthday, Lono. Thank you, homie. I think it's an interesting discussion. This comes down, quite literally, this is a philosophical discussion. You're not having a technical discussion. You're coming at this with a philosophical presupposition about what art is and what art isn't. These are not objective truths. These are beliefs. You believe that there's a line at which it ceases to become art because of the use of a tool. You're not making an argument, 512. You just keep saying, listen, I'm telling you. Mid-Journey, you can type in first attempt and get amazing results. Nort philosophical. No, this is a philosophical. You're not arguing, you're just asserting. I understand that you can type into Mid-Journey, show me Supergirl in front of a cityscape in this art style, and I know it can spit out great results. Presuppositions about AI as well. It's not always just putting stuff in a text box. Right. Leveraging and harnessing a tool to create artwork at the level that we just looked at is a skill. Feliz cumpleaños. Thank you so much, Biggie Smalls. A 5-spot from Joker Quinn. Happy birthday, Lono. Thanks for everything you do and for the community you've created. I appreciate that. That's like saying electronic music isn't music because they use a tool versus an instrument. That is a historically relevant argument, and it is exactly right. There has been a long-going debate and discussion, it's not quite as lively now as it used to be, about the use of synthesized sounds to make music. Automation to make music. Is that not music? Is it not? Where's the line? Where's the bright line? Where's the hard line where that's not music anymore? Happy birthday. Thank you, Big Lido. There's a lot of automated synthesized work that goes into music that a very, very like traditional view of music would say, well, that's not music. Okay. You get to define what music is? T-Pain get crap. The auto-tuning was a later discussion. Synthesized music, electronic music was a discussion long before that. The music is still coming from the person's musical knowledge. You don't think you need to have a competent person and understanding of art and balance and color and lighting to do something like the picture we just looked at? The Agent of Chaos is Rockin' Robin, single gifted to push us to 176. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Rockin' Robin. And another one from Rockin' Robin, taking us to 177. Thank you so much, Rockin' Robin. You think a total inept, non-tech savvy, non-art savvy person can just crank out high-level work like what we looked at a little bit ago? By the way, happy birthday. Thank you, Power Boss. I have ideas already of implementing my skills of painting, drawing, and programming and creating something much grander with AI. Take that to the next level. VR, virtual interactive art piece. That person isn't having to compose? How are they not composing? If you tell the program, the automated program or the synthesized program to create notes in a certain order, isn't that the same as saying, I would like the program to create these elements in these ways to look like this, and then it spits it out? They are prompting, they aren't composing. So they're not composing by continuing to put in new prompts and make adjustments and tweaks. You also don't think they're going in and cleaning things up? AI art is like tracing over 100 people's art. That's not a skill because every single AI model can generate an image of that level or greater, and the human isn't creating anything. The machine generates a collage of others' work. It doesn't automatically make music in a certain order. You still have to do that yourself. Right, but what if you don't have any semblance of tempo, if you are not gifted in playing those instruments, if you just purely rely on the automation and the synthesized sounds to create music, wouldn't somebody be able to say, you didn't actually make that music, you're not a musician, that's not music, it's artificial. It's fabricated and made by a program and made by a computer, not you. AI art is a program taking thousands, if not millions, of other people's work and putting it together based off prompts. Okay, you're just describing it. Why is that not art? I'm not saying that it is. What I'm saying is I've not seen any compelling argumentation today. I've seen a bunch of people just stating what it is and just assuming that then therefore means it's not art. You're like, well, the program's doing this and this and this. Okay. And why does that make it that it's not art? You try to compel me is what I'm saying. Don't just describe it to me. It's not them putting together, it's learning patterns. I know a musician uses instrument and those AI stuff. It's not a collage of other people's already made art put together. It's a completely new piece of art. Doesn't mean what it generates is the final piece. The artist has the responsibility to mold it to their version. AI art is still only as good as the user input because it requires the user to be more descriptive to get what they want. Eugene says, because it would be like me taking Lego sets others have built and arranging them in a way I like and calling it art. Right, but you're the causality, you're the mind behind it, you're the vision behind it. Why would that not be art? Have you seen AI art? Some of it looks insane. Can we get even more philosophical on the nature of people's learning and memories and how patterns develop therefrom? Me, artistry, art, creating something is just it's just taking on a new form. It's just taking on a new form. It's evolved from wall like cave drawings to the Sistine Chapel to modern art, digital art, people that use a program to draw with their hand or like a tablet and a pen. And it's now evolved into levels of automation and machine learning to leverage by the artist as well. It's just another step in the trajectory of the evolution of what we think art is. Do you honestly think you're going to hold the line on this? Do you think in 100 years anybody's going to take this argument seriously? No. This will be a distant memory. Yeah, you remember that time that people thought that AI art and AI generative art wasn't art? You remember that? I'm not saying that makes it art. I'm saying the idea of what art is immaterial and malleable. It's not some hard and fast thing. It's a philosophical thing. The automation takes away too much of the human element to call it art. You guys are all welcome to think this. I appreciate how much conviction some of you have about this, but I'm here to tell you, you're discussing something that is completely immaterial. This is not objective. This is 100% a philosophical discussion. The expression or application of human creative skill. Right. And their creativity and skill in using the program to greater or lesser degrees. I guarantee you, somebody who's been fiddling around with AI art for 5 years would blow me out of the water if I tried to start using it today. Their creativity, their skill is higher than mine. I think arguing immaterial things can be fun too. I think it's great that we assume immaterial realities exist. But there's no way, there's simply no way you could demonstrate this. I believe this is demonstrable that a higher level of skill and creativity and knowledge within AI art would be demonstrated by more refined, higher quality pieces. When did Feed get a membership? Wait, did he finally get one? He got one! Mark Miller! Or is that a different Mark Miller? It might be a different. That might be a different Mark Miller, because his badge is blue. Maybe he got one in the past. I don't know. That's what you do in Midjourney. Here's the thing. 512. Midjourney is the infancy of AI art. It's in its infancy. You're acting as if there is not a trajectory of sophistication that is inevitable. It's inevitable. You're looking at something in its infancy. In 10 years, AI art will be so incredibly standard that there will be famous, popular, successful AI artists. There will be. Zero doubt. I don't have any doubt about that. It's an unstoppable force. Oh, that is feed. He got one. You're talking in the now? That's not important to me. We're talking about the trajectory of AI in game development and in art. Little off topic, Picasso's painting, The Woman with the Watch, just sold 140 million. Picasso's view of art and his goals with art were actually very interesting. He and others were seeking a universal, concluding that they basically got into the idea that all was random and chaos. That there are no... Yeah. In seeking a universal, they decided there wasn't one. Which is a universal claim. Would you be willing to try your hand at some AI art during the debrief today? We can see how your complete novice lines up. I mean, I just don't really care to mess with it. It's just not interesting to me. You know, I've seen plenty of people fart around with it on my Twitter feeds and my Facebook feeds to know there is a chasm of difference between somebody who's just goofing around for an afternoon and someone who has been refining their abilities over months. There's a huge, huge difference. Only artist deal in absolute. Sky Queen with a $10 super chat says, most artists' concern is the devalue of their own way of creating art with AI tech. They've had years where hand-drawn art is very valuable. Why pay $200 when you can have an AI make it for $20? Precisely. Reposting. Parasito says, I would absolutely love to get on with you and Mike or whatever and discuss generative design workflows with you because it's something that I encounter every day and have to deal with. I told Creature that I didn't think there'd be a lot of interest in this topic, and I don't think there was today. This was kind of what I expected, so I don't know if I want to do another show. I did a whole series on AI. It didn't do well. I think people see AI and they see it's like when we tried to cover NFTs. I think people see AI and they're like, I don't want to watch that. I don't care about that. It almost feels like techno mumbo jumbo to them. They're like, yeah, I have no interest in that. As soon as you see AI or NFT, people are like, they tune out. They don't click. They're like, I don't want to hear about that. This subject is just such an odd one because people are really passionate about it, but I think the general public has an aversion to discussing or talking or listening to anything about AI. They just don't like it. It's all very out there. You know, it's like the practical everyday man is like, I don't care about that. You know, I can't see doing another show about this anytime in the near future because I thought this would happen. I thought there won't be an interest in this topic. We did 5 videos on it and the interest was terrible. The subs didn't click. And it was just like, I enjoyed making it. I think it's a great series. But at a certain point, you have to ask the question, is the public interested in this? No? Well, then I'm not going to try to leverage interest. Like, you should care about this, right? There's so much gaming news that we could potentially cover. I don't like to do self-indulgent things all that often because it's a lot of energy. It's a lot of energy and research and time. And it's like, I could spend that energy and research and time on, you know, another subject. So my argument would be AI is not using imagination to create. I think that's just too dichotomous. They don't shut off their imagination. They don't turn off their imagination. In fact, I've seen some AI art that is very, I think, imagination driven and creative. There will come a day when we will be glad we covered this. I think the problem is, I just think gamers are like, I don't care about that. Like, they just don't care about what's behind the curtain, if that makes sense. Like, if I was to diagnose over the years, 8 years of me covering gaming, that when we get on subjects like this, I think one of the reasons that people disengage is because they're like, I don't care about what's behind the curtain, man. I just want to play video games and have fun. They like to cheer for a side that is a little bit behind the curtain, but if you get into technical stuff, I just think the average gamer and viewer just sort of tunes out and is like, this doesn't interest me. And I don't only purely cover things based on what's interesting to people, but if you only cover things that you care about, then you run the risk of not being relevant, right? You have to balance it. It's a balancing act of like, I think this is a really fun discussion. I love talking about it. I love talking about tech advancements and AI and the singularity, but if the general public is like, yeah, we don't care about talking about that, well, then I'd be a fool to keep trying. Like, oh, let's just keep talking about AI. Let's do a weekly AI segment. You know what I'm saying? You got to be really careful as a content creator. If you self-indulge too much, you'll end up hurting yourself, you know. The creation isn't coming from the human, no matter how much you have to adjust your prompts. The computer is still doing the creation, the drawing, the coloring, the shading, all the composition. Sure. And I think the challenge there is that is a belief. You believe that because the computer's doing all those things, it is therefore not art, even though they're the causality. They are the uncaused cause in that situation. They go in and they do everything, type it all up, and they push the causal button. And then it goes. And I think that's where you're like, but they didn't do everything that came after. Okay. If a guy comes up with a patent for a machine, a car, designs it, comes up with it, funds the making of it, the factory spits it out, and he's like, look at this beautiful car I made. And people are like, you didn't make it. Factory made it. Factory line workers made it. He's like, but I'm the causality. I thought it up. I pushed the button that put it into the factory production line. I made this car. This is mine. This is my design. Just because they weren't there every step of the way, putting the wheels on, fabricating the headlights, like they didn't do any of that. I think that's where it gets really, really tough. It's like, I have a really hard time telling that person, you are not an artist, you didn't make that. When they're the causality. They caused it to come into existence. Now, they didn't do all those steps along the way, but they're the causality. As a programmer, I enjoy looking behind the scenes, even if I don't totally understand it all. But sometimes I like to get my own ideas to make my own things and not 1v1 copies or reproductions. Plumbers are highly skilled. They use tools. They're in high demand. We appreciate their skill. We need them. We don't call them artists. Oh, okay. I don't see how that's connected to what we're talking about. Brad with 3 months says, one of the best discussions I've listened to in a while, overall subjects. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. I like talking about more deeper things like this. I find it very interesting, but I understand why others don't. They're like, yo, this is kind of heavy sledding, bro. I just want to talk about video games. I just want to talk about video games, man. I get it. Like, it totally makes sense to me. I don't take it personal at all. Like, when we did those AI videos, I remember at the end being like, I think we're just too early. But then I really thought about it, and I was like, I don't think we're too early. I don't think people care. I think the average gamer doesn't give a rip. We touched on this earlier. I was like, if a bunch of these companies start using AI tech, I don't think the average gamer gives a single ounce. They're like, I don't care. Is the game good? Can I do looties and shooties? You know? Brad gifts a member. Thank you so much, dude, for keeping your membership here for 3 months and for gifting a member. Guys, huge banner day for my birthday. Thank you so, so much. Hilly, your record gets to live another day. I don't think we're going to beat 500 members. We'll probably hit 200. Thank you, Dumpy Koala, for coming back in as a VIP gold. Hilly's rubbing it in my face that his birthday was bigger than mine. 5 gifted members from Ala Park takes us to 183. Thank you so, so much. I appreciate that so, so much. Hilly, your birthday record gets to live another day. You cheeky Brit. Okay, what's the today's upload about? I forget. It's about Halo. Yesterday was a PlayStation day. Today's an Xbox day. Happy birthday. Thank you, Ala Park. I really appreciate it. Appreciate the 5 gifted, and I appreciate the birthday wishes. Let's see here. Halo Infinite pricing. That's what we gonna talk about. We gonna talk about pricing. We gonna talk about practice. Talking about practice. Okay. Happy birthday. Thank you. Get to live another year. That's right. Hilly, I think, was also on a Friday, if I'm not mistaken. I'm British too. Thanks. Thank you, Ice Queen. I appreciate that. Hang on. Missed this. And switch. All right. Halo Infinite is being heavily criticized for its pricing, even though it's having a bit of a rebound. You're going to be surprised at what I defend and what I don't defend in this video. We're going to go to this video in the next 14 minutes. You guys have 14 minutes to beat Hilly's record. All right, this is set for tomorrow, and yep, that's good. That's good. And we'll schedule that. Happy birthday, sir. Thank you, Feed. Glad to see you finally got yourself a badge, Mr. Mark Miller. The point I was trying to make is that we have tons of highly skilled laborers that have specialized skills, use specialized tools, and provide immense value, and we don't appreciate their work as art. Okay, that's fine. I acknowledge that. What do you think crosses the threshold of when we do call or appreciate someone's work as art? What is it? What's the line? What's the threshold that you cross that you say, yep, that's art? Happy birthday. Thank you very much. AI-generated art is no different. I disagree because of authorial intent and purpose. Purpose and meaning are woven into the act. The purpose and the meaning of it is to be seen, purchased, appreciated, celebrated, whatever, inspire, right? There's purpose behind it. A plumber unclogging your toilet is not serving a visual purpose. Well, maybe it is. But it's not serving like this. You know what I'm saying? There's intention. He's not creating something. He's fixing something. Functionally different, right? There's a functional difference between the plumber fixing, repairing, as opposed to creating, imagining, you know. Missed the first part. Part of that is because of the belief anyone can pretty much learn to do those tasks. Sky Queen jumps in as a member and does Reforge Writer. Thank you so much for jumping in at that level. You get to come to the end of the day writer's room where we sketch out and draw up the next day's plans. But I don't believe that anybody could learn to do and create good AI art. I don't believe that. I think that's a reductionist position that is demonstrably false. Could we get 15 more likes on the video? I think I could demonstrate the falseness of that. I don't think that you could say, yeah, anybody can do that. Anybody could create good AI art. There's a difference between good and bad AI art. Yes, some of that's subjective, but you would say some art is terrible because it doesn't look right, it's bad, it's messy, the fingers are always all messed up on a lot of them, right? I don't believe that any person could do that. Dudley gifts a member. Thank you so much, and takes us to 185. Appreciate you very, very much, Mr. Dudley. Mr. P. Dudley. Anyone can learn to prompt AI without practice and training. But to have an adeptness and astuteness of composition and color and lighting and being able to maybe even come behind and refine it, right? Really good AI art, I would imagine, is not purely prompt driven. That's probably step one. Like understanding how to refine the prompts, understanding how to potentially afterwards refine the artwork itself. They need to have an understanding of a command of color and balance and scope and perspective and depth. Like, they need to be able to know what's good and bad, what's balanced and imbalanced, you know? I think that that's the thing we're missing is AI art is typically probably getting a really bad rap because you see people that are just cranking out stuff all day long on Instagram and Twitter and social spaces, but you have to know so much that comes after that part. You're seeing the low-level, low-effort work. You're not seeing the people that actually take the time to go in and fix, change, alter, update, adjust things. Big Juicer with 16 months. Happy birthday, Lono. Picasso would make better AI art than I would. Artists have the artistic eye the regular person does not have. Yeah, like, I feel like an actual gifted artist comes to the table like we're acting as if talent isn't going to play a role. As AI advances, the AI does all that. But again, understanding the AI tools and having an artistic understanding and artistic vision. A very, very talented artist who also then takes the time to learn and get better and sharpen their skills with those tools, they are going to create a better art piece than I would. Because they know, okay, my color balance is off, my lighting isn't quite right, the depth of field is not working properly, and I know because I've studied art, they've gone to school, they get it, they know, they've got a vision of what they're trying to create, and if they know how to fix it with the tools that they've studied and sharpened and gotten better with, to say that, no, that's not art, I think we're being extremely reductionist. We're acting like every single piece of AI art, every person who tries to harness and leverage AI art, that all they're doing is typing a prompt and that's the end. And I think that's simplistic. That's not an accurate view of what people are doing. It's not an accurate view of what people will do in the future. Look, it's Nor comes back in with a renewed membership. Okay, and a trained drywall guy will make better walls than you. Yes, which means that talent has an impact. Which means that there is talent, skill, and ability and creation that goes into the art, even if segments of it are automated. Just because you can say, oh, but yeah, anybody that has more skill than you is going to do a better job than you, right? But I'm not arguing that it's art because they can do a better job than me. I'm arguing the creativity, work, and skill that goes into it is a repudiation of the simplistic idea that they don't put anything into it. There's no creativity, there's no imagination. They're not doing anything. The program's doing it all. I disagree. That's not what I'm arguing. I'm not saying their skill and their experience and expertise is what makes it art. I'm saying their skill, experience, and expertise resulting in better artwork proves their entanglement with the process, therefore making it art. I'm demonstrating an entanglement of the person's ability, skill, vision, talent, the work, the refinement, the betterment. They are good at it, and they're putting into it more than just prompts. If you think AI artwork is just prompts, I believe you have a fundamental misunderstanding of what really talented people are doing with it. They're not just putting in prompts. And I think visionaries and artists who evolve with this, they will get to the front of the wave. Because what's happening now is everybody's scrambling to get in the water and they want to ride the AI art wave. Now you've oversaturated the market and nothing really stands out. What will start to stand out is the truly gifted artists who start to leverage it and do it in a better way so that you say to yourself, that doesn't look like something that was just spit out with prompts. That looks like something that somebody took their time with, crafted, refined, and made better with their own work, ability, skills, and vision. Zinthos with 26 months in a VIP says, happy birthday, Lono. Thank you so much, Zinthos. Guys, in 5 minutes, we're going to go to the premiere. We're 15 away from 200. If you guys want to capstone this to 200, I will owe you 40 members. I'll owe you 40 members, all right? You can keep gifting in the premiere, but I'll do 40 members in the premiere. Little short of the 50 bomb today. We need 250 members for the 50 bomb. I always like dropping a 50 bomb in the members only stream. I'm sorry, not the members only stream, in the premiere. I do it in the premiere to give you guys as much time as possible. Do you think people writing prompts and doing nothing else is art? I would say it's the same degree of art and creativity as someone who throws paint at a wall or a canvas and that's all they do. And they let the paint land, splash, and fall. And they're like, yep, that's art. I think there are greater and lesser degrees of art. My kid, that as a baby, if you put a baby in front of a piece of paper and they get paint on their hands and they smack the paper, you could say that's art to a lesser degree than the Sistine Chapel. I believe there's degrees in everything. A kid plunking away on the piano clumsily and says, "Did you like my pretty song?" That was great. That's music. So is Miles Davis. And I think someone who puts prompts into AI art and that's all they do, I think they're the equivalent of someone who just throws paint at the canvas and that's all they do. It's low-level art. It's not high-view, high-level art like Da Vinci. Happy birthday. Thank you. All right, guys, let me get you a link. We're going to go to this premiere in 3 minutes. That I can agree. It's throwing paint on a wall at random. Dope, valid in my book, and understanding your point overall a lot more. Thank you. That's why I don't like dismissive dichotomous positions of that's not art. Well, oh, okay. How? If that's not art, there's no spectrum that allows for somebody to leverage AI art and then bring their own work to it. Victory with a $5 super chat tip. If someone boycotts a specific game but is still subscribed to Game Pass, it makes no difference to Microsoft. Not sure why you're bringing that up. Cristiano Souza with a 5 spot puts us a 10 bomb away from 200. Thank you so much, Cristiano Souza. Let me get you guys a link to this premiere. We're going to this premiere in 2 minutes. I will redirect you. I will also have it be the featured video. It'll be the featured video on the channel. Jumping into meetings for the day. I'll catch you later. Happy B-Day, Lono and Hilly. Thank you so much, Abe. That's why I pushed back. I was like, are we really going to say this? AI art's not art? Like, because there's different degrees. I've heard with a lot of recent Marvel works, was this made by AI? General people know what a creative, thoughtful human piece of work is. Happy birthday, brother. Keep up the great discussions. Thank you so much, MM2K. We are going to this premiere in 1 minute. I will spam a link in chat. I will gift Right now, I owe you 35 members. If we get 10 more members, I'll owe you 40. Thank you guys so much for a huge day on my birthday. I'm going to spam a link in chat, and I'm going to redirect you over here. If you guys want to keep gifting members during the premiere, you can. If you want to force me to drop a 50 bomb, that is possible. You can do it. All right? I will see you guys over there. People are upset about the pricing of Halo Infinite cosmetics. I agree with some of it, but I don't agree with all of it. I'm actually going to defend Halo a little bit. You guys are probably going to be surprised. Another 5 spot for victory. I brought it up because boycotting AI-made games won't work. Oh, I appreciate that. Okay. All right, let's head to this premiere. What do you think of Halo Infinite and the criticisms? Thank you for all the birthday wishes. Let's continue the party in the premiere and then members afterward.